Hey everybody, how's it going today? It's Frankie here, and I'm back with another TV show slash series review, obviously, because they're technically the same thing, but I should really start changing up my titles a bit and say series review, which sounds a bit better. So yeah, and I'm going to be talking about a show which I spoke about on TikTok, but I deleted it because I spoke about two other shows, and I think it's way more better just to talk about one show separately on each video, and YouTube's a perfect platform to do that at. And if you see some movement next to me on this side, it's my cat. I mean, I was going to move her, but I might just leave her there anyway. She's just lying down. So hopefully she hasn't disturbed me whilst making this video, because there was that one time that she did, was on my lap and she did disturb me a bit. Nothing else I could have done. That was on my iPad then, and there's no way. I don't think you can pause a recording on an iPad or on like a phone or something like that. But laptops you can though. So yeah, This show here is something that I used to love watching back in the day, and that's called Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. I used to love that show. That's a good quiz show slash game show. Especially back then, people winning, like going up a ladder to reach a million. It's just a great show. I used to watch it when Chris Tarrant was there, and I think it was before my time it started, and it still looked old when I was watching it as a kid. But even then, it still felt new to me, because I was just a kid watching it back then. I don't like watching the one with Jeremy Clarkson, because I'm not a big fan of his. I just don't feel it. I just don't feel when he's doing it. He just sounds, I don't know. I'm not gonna say anything controversial over the top on this video. My review channel stays, less controversial and a bit more calm and safe. You could say, well, you're already safe, but it's a bit more calm, a bit more tame on this channel. But on my first channel, I probably would be a bit over the top about him. I'm just saying, you all know, most people don't like him anyway. I'm not going to say why. But yeah, I just don't feel it. But with Chris Tarrant, he was a bit more focused, he had a bit of drama to him when he was like doing it. And asking the questions, he was like, is that your final answer? Yes, A is my final answer. But with Jeremy Clarkson, it's like, is A your final answer? Different. Why you Jeremy Clarkson? They only put him in because he did Top Gear. That's the only thing that he's known for right now. He's only hosted that show. It's just people outside, if you're wondering, all that noise is kids outside especially. Yeah, so they just don't need. They should have brought someone that's like similar to Chris Tarrant's level, a bit more drama, kind of like Bandy Walsh could have put on, or Ben Shepherd, even Stephen Mulhern would have been perfect for it. But you bring on Jeremy Clarkson as like a host. I don't know who else hosts it now. I don't know. I think he's still there. There is a Who Wants to Be a Millionaire in America. I think there's an Australian version, but I'm talking about the UK version. And when I watched it, it's fun to watch. Like, you see the contestants go up the money ladder and get all these questions right, and it's like there's a lot of money, but when they get one question wrong and they lose all that money, it's devastating. I mean, you can go into that show, and there is like, if there's like a point in that there's only parts of the money where if you get an answer wrong, you still go on with that money. So say for example, I think if I remember correctly, £1,000 is a different colour compared to most of them. So you got the white, you got the money in all like the white colours. The colour, the money that's highlighted in white is the one that you're staying on regardless of what happens. So that's the one you go home with. But the rest of the colours, if you get one answer wrong, you lose all that money. And it's so like mad and devastating when the contestant gets to 100,000 and they choose not to take it. I mean, they could choose to take it any time if they don't answer the question, but if it's a difficult question, they gamble and answer it. Yeah, they might get it right, but they didn't want to take that risk, because 100k is a lot. Even with, I know with tax, but they still get a lot of money back for it. The thing is, even when they, when they say, I want to go home with that money, Chris, and then Chris goes, okay, if you would have said this answer, you would have gone home with that much money. It's how the audience goes, oh, like they should have taken it. They could have changed their mind. Like, for me, that's greed. And if you're not taking the money at that, even 10k or 20k, if you're not taking that much money at that moment, that's greedy, because you're risking it all just for a question then you think you could get right on a hunch or on luck, basically. You need luck to win these shows. Logic even. But most of the time, we all want to get, all these contestants, and especially us, even when I'm not on the show, I've never been on these type of shows before. But even that, we always want to get questions that fall to us. Like practically every question, there's 15 questions. I'm pretty sure it's 15, and they have to answer them correctly. And and the person that gets a million, they get their confetti down. That's the best part. I don't think I've ever seen a contestant win $1 million on TV. I've seen it on YouTube and stuff like that, and especially that one dude that committed fraud. I've forgotten his name now, where he got somebody to actually, helping out with the answers, behind especially those computers and stuff like that. So it was rigged, and Chris didn't know that. So I think he got in jail for it, or he has to pay all that back. Maybe, I don't know. But yeah, that was a sad situation. That was a mad situation. Why you were going to do that? You got all the options of money there. You don't need to. Why would you have to get specifically $1 million? I get life is tough. Why would you have specifically $1 million? You couldn't even get home with 10 grand. You'd have been happy. 20, 30, 40, even 50. No one gets that money in this day and age straight away like that in one go. Yet people say it's taxed. You do realize even if it is taxed, you're still going home with money. And obviously the first 3-4 questions are easy because it's just a warm up. They don't want to start you off too difficult. Once it starts getting to question 8 or 9 or 10, that's when it starts to get difficult because they're making you close to $1 million. It ain't gonna be that easy to win money. It also depends on the age. Age can play a part in it. If you're older, you're going to get more questions right because you've been around longer and you've known more stuff and you've heard of more stuff, you've seen more stuff. Not all the time though. Younger generation will know stuff that the older generation don't. It's like the chase. It always plays a part in it all the time. It depends on what you know and how you know them. And it depends if you're around that time when that was happening or if you're into that. You got to be into something as well to get these questions right. You know what I mean? It's standard like that. And the timer as well. If I remember correctly, there was no timer when I first watched it. But now in the first few questions, the contestants timed on like the easiest questions possible. But yeah, as the data goes up, they don't have the timer on. So maybe it's the fact that it's an easy question, you might as well just be quick with it. When it gets difficult, they don't time you because it's difficult. That's probably what the logic is. Unless there is still a timer, and I just haven't watched it for that long enough to know. I don't know. But it just got kind of boring for me now. I've just lost interest in that show. Chris Tarrant made it. He's the one that made Who Has Really Made It There watchable. And especially when the contestants come on and they just take it. This is how hard some questions can be. They can take ages to answer a question because they're thinking about it logically in their mind. And the lifelines, let me just tell you how frustrating it is for someone to use 2 lifelines. Bear in mind, when you're using 2, you've only got 1 left to rely on. If that one doesn't work out for you, you're gone. You're basically you're out basically because you've got no other choice. You're basically effed if that's, if you want to put it that way. It's like someone uses a 50-50, and that doesn't make it easy, but you got 50-50, a choice between 2 answers. Should narrow it down a little bit, but they always make it the 2 answers that are likely. The right answer and the other answer that's sort of like more likely as well to be that one. So that's smart. That's really smart. It's like, for example, right, they can put in a football question, like who's won the most titles here and there, and they keep it 2 teams that are like have won the most, in that league technically, and it's more difficult. It's just that one of them was won 1 or 2 more than the other. That's how sneaky it is. That's how sneaky that show can be. And it's kind of like that basically. Even phoning a friend, and the friend that the person calls can be useless. They don't know the answer, and it's like you got to pick something that would know the answer. But then somebody says, "Oh, my friend or family is an expert in this, so I'll call them." They call him and it's like, "Oh, I don't know. I never heard of that. I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry, mate. I can't give you that." I would be mad. But usually it works out where they call somebody and they know the answer. They're just 90% sure, and they get it right, or they can even do the audience, which can sometimes be stupid. Don't get me wrong. They're using 50-50 and they're asking the audience. Don't waste another lifeline, because if you get that one right, if you say, "Oh, I know that one," then Why are you using 2 lifelines? You could save them. They could be very useful when you get to question 10 or 11. It could help you to win more money. And when the audience does answer it, usually 80 or 90% of them goes for one answer. And yeah, there's some questions I don't know, and the audience seems to know. I don't know if they got some sort of cheat code or something like that underneath their seats, or some sort of writer. I don't know. But that makes the contestant go a bit like, oh God, no. Oh dear, no. And then the contestant can come out with something stupid like, oh, yeah, I thought it was the answer. No, you didn't. Don't bull crap anybody in that room. You did not know the answer to that. Nobody would know, and it's like, oh yeah, I know the answer. I kind of knew it. Why do you not go for it then if you were so bold? If you thought that was the answer and it was your instincts, go for it. But I guess you could be wrong because the audience could pick different answers. So I understand that logic, but don't make it sound like you only thought it was that as soon as those came, as soon as the audience picked that, or 50-50 chose it for you, or your friend or family member chose it for you. It doesn't always work like that. It's kind of mad. I think they can change their mind, but I don't often see that. Once a contestant sticks with an answer, I rarely see them change their mind. It's quite interesting that. Again, some of the questions about royalty could be difficult, historical questions, those type of stuff. I have no clue about. If it's sports I don't watch, I would have no clue. And I would usually, sometimes you seem to think the answer sounds correct, but it actually isn't. Yeah, that's that's basically how the show is. And especially when Chris goes up to like the entrance part and he asks, oh, put these in order from smallest to biggest. I'll put these in order from less populated to populated. And there's 4 options, obviously, A to D. And usually they're the easiest types. They give it, he gives it easy to them, and it's obviously to make a contestant go to him. Obviously, if everyone gets it wrong, no one will go to him. No one will sit down and opposite him. So yeah, even everyone get them right. It's pretty standard. Most of them usually are. The celebrity version don't like because they're just I don't know. It's not. I don't believe in charities that much. I mean, they got enough money anyway. They might even, like take most of it. I don't know. Yeah. I don't want to ramble on too much. If there's anything I missed up, let me know in the comments. But yeah, that's it for the whole of that show. Me talking about it. So yeah, the rating for this one, it's a good show. I like the money ladder. I like the concept of it. The host as well. I'm talking more about Chris Tarrant. But now it's gone a little bit there. That doesn't really affect it because it's a remastered version. But I've watched more of the older version. So yeah, I have a rough idea anyway of how the game is. But yeah, especially the music as well at the start, which hooks you in too. That's another thing, the introduction, which I nearly forgot to mention. Rating, I'd say it's a good show. I like it, it's got a bit of drama to it. Chris Tarrant added the drama. So yeah, rating, fairly standard. I think it's a solid, in my opinion. It could be different, it's not really questionable. People might give it 7. I think it's a really good show. I don't think it's an incredible best show ever, like a 10 or a 9. I think it's an 8. I would say 8 out of 10 is quite fair after what I just described. So yeah, 8 out of 10 it is. If you enjoyed the video, please give a like, comment, share with subscribe and hit the notification below. So see you in my next video.